So, as y'all can see, I'm out here doing a little bit of nighttime catfishing, and right now, I'm just waiting for the sun to go down so it can be considered nighttime fishing. And I posted a Q&A the other day, and you guys asked a bunch of questions, so I'm going to be answering them all today. But in the meantime, I'm gonna give y'all a replay of what all I did today. So, all right, y'all. As you could tell, I'm starting today's vlog out at the range. I'm gonna shoot the rifle first, maybe the shotgun later. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. But also today we're gonna be doing a little bit of a Q&A. I posted a picture the other day and told y'all comment some questions related to fishing, YouTube, whatever y'all want to know, and I'm gonna answer them today in this video. So after we're done here, we're gonna go fishing later, and I'm gonna answer the questions. All right, y'all, we're about to go fishing in a minute, but first I'm about to go to the golf range real quick, and we're about to go hit some balls real quick. So then I'm about to go fishing. I'll catch y'all when we get there.
There we go, on the green, baby.
We're looking good, dude.
There we go. Look at that. I don't see what I feel like.
Oh boy, look at this. That is a large cat. But we're out here at the bass spot. That really is a big cat, I can't lie. Wonder if he sees me right now. So I just had a beautiful green pumpkin chatterbait with a craw with red flake, and I launched it into oblivion because I forgot my line was tangled when I cast it. So we're switching to this black and blue jig with a bandito bug. It is raining out right now, so I'm just gonna try and hopefully catch a bass real quick here, and then I'm gonna go eat. Then we're gonna do the Q&A, and then I'm gonna go catfishing tonight. Man, this dude is tearing up all my fishing spots. Just leaving footprints everywhere. That's probably why the bass are scared to come out. There's a dang cat in here looking for them. Look at that. I just found somebody's reel. Perfectly good reel. I don't know why it's just laying there. Fuck it. Maybe the bobcat ate them and took everything except for their reel. But I'm now switching over to my spinning reel. I'm gonna be throwing this swim bait. Bang! Landed a bass. All right, my man, don't flop around too much because these hooks will hurt me. All right, y'all, so bass on the swim bait in the rain. Don't get much better than that. Oh, shit. Brother. Might have to walk out a little bit here. All right. My shoes might be cooked after that, though. So I know some of y'all are probably thinking right now, I thought this was supposed to be a Q&A. So I'm going to start answering some questions while I get ready to go catch some pike, catfish at night. So the first question is from Ryder Black. He said, what is the best way to fish for carp with nothing fancy? They eat my corn, but they spit it out. So the number one thing I would say that could be a partial solution. So I'm going to give you something that will help a little bit and something that will help a lot. The first thing that could be a partial solution to that is chumming more. I like to make chum. I like to take oats, corn, a packet of red Jello or strawberry Jello, and then some vanilla extract, but it has to be vanilla extract with alcohol in it because carp are drunkards or something. They really enjoy the alcohol and they'll eat that like crazy. And chumming can help them. And chumming can also help because whenever they see all this free food all over the place and they start eating it, they start to get more comfortable. They don't, take a little bit and spit it out right away. They'll start to get used to eating stuff for free and not having any consequences, and then they'll start eating more carelessly, more recklessly. And then whenever they eat a piece of corn with your hook in it, they might not care as much to be sitting there all finicky trying to feel for metal and stuff like that. I like to use these little, it's called method feeders, and then just put like a little ball of the pack bait that I just said around this and put it about a foot or two above my weight, so that way that there is food all around where your hook is at. So that way they're used to eating the same food in that area. Then whenever they eat your hook, they're not as concerned about it. So method feeders are a really great help to put your chum in the same exact area where your hook is at. But however, that's not a guaranteed solution. That can just work sometimes. The guaranteed solution to your problem, it has nothing to do with your hook set, but more so your rig itself or the types of hooks you're using. And the 100% guaranteed solution, because sometimes carp are just picky and there's no talking about it, there's nothing you could do about it with chumming and stuff like that, except for this one thing. It's called a hair rig, where the corn, as you can see, this is just fake pieces of corn, hangs down off of the hook. And you might look at this and think there's no way that that's going to work, especially if the fish are just spitting it out. They're going to eat this corn, the hook's never going to touch them, and they're going to spit it out. However, the thing is, they're spitting it out because they feel the hook or they taste the metal. So with this, a carp is just going to suck this in. They're going to suck in just the corn. They're going to say, okay, that's good. I don't feel any hook. I don't taste any hook. I'm going to continue going around eating. I'm going to keep. They got it in their mouth. They take another big gulp, and boom, the hook is in their mouth, and it's a circle hook, so it sets itself. And by the time the fish realize that they have swallowed a hook on this rig, they're already going to be hooked. I guarantee you, hair rigs will result in much more hookups for you. This is what worked for me whenever I caught the biggest carp that I've ever caught, which was probably about between 20 and 30 pounds. I'll put a picture right now. But hair rigs, I 100% guarantee you, will result in more hookups. They're not expensive either. You can get them off Amazon for like, I don't know, maybe like 20 bucks for like a 10 pack, 20 bucks for a 5 pack. But yeah, hair rigs, they're called hair rigs because the fish just feel the slightest little bit of tension on them, and they're just like super sensitive rigs, so to ensure that the carp is not feeling anything fishy whenever they eat your bait. And I guarantee you this will result in way more hookups than just using a circle hook or a small bait holder or anything like that. I know it looks weird and it doesn't make sense to have the bait off of the hook. You would think it results in less hookups, but it results in way more. You don't have to set the hook. You just reel down and then keep tension on them. Boom, yeah, hair rigs. But right now we're getting ready to go catfishing, so we're picking out a spot. It's kind of hard. Next question, what is the best knot for fishing? I'll show you right now. So this here is the first knot I ever learned how to tie, and it has literally never failed me on any fish ever. Pike, bass, carp, whatever. So put the line through whatever you're tying on. Then you're going to stick your finger in between the line. You're going to wrap the line around itself like that 10 times. 2, and then it's going to look like that. You're going to wet this right here with your spit. Then, now the line looks like this. You're going to take the end of the line, put it back through this first hole right there, like so. Then you're going to hold this second hole open, let go of the first one. Hold this hole that you just made open, let go of the first one. Bring the line through this hole and then pull it. And then it'll tighten down like this. You just grab this, slide it to the top, make sure it's tight. Give it a little, grab whatever you tied on, give it a good pull, like so. Make sure it ain't gonna break. Then again, make sure your knot is cinched down, and then you're good to cut it. That's called a fisherman's knot. You can look up a better tutorial on that if you want, but it's a very good knot for fishing. Never failed me, and it's pretty easy to learn. And then my favorite knot to tie on a hook is a snell knot. And the point of a snell knot on a hook, they're kind of easy to tie. Well, once you learn, they're pretty easy to tie, but this might be a little bit difficult at first. But the point of a snell knot is whenever you tie a regular knot and it's tied up here, whenever you set the hook, you can put a hook and weight underwater and like test it yourself. Just watch it. Whenever you set the hook goes like from sitting like this to this. It pulls back like that. So if I'm a fish, this is in my mouth and it comes down and then forward, it's just gonna rip out of my mouth whenever I set the hook. But a snell knot, when you set the hook, it goes like this. So if I'm a fish, it's in my mouth. Ooh, now it's in my lip. So the snell knot is way better to set the hook, especially with a picky fish like a carp or a catfish or a pike that's just gonna sit there and take little nibbles out of your bait and stuff like that. A snell hook will result in way more hookups. But I don't feel as if I'm qualified to give a tutorial on how to tie a snell knot, so you can look that up. Just look up how to tie a snell and you'll find it.
Sushi, you have to use a chopstick, right?
Picked up some garlic scented night crawlers to catch bluegill and some power bait for if that don't work. The reason I went with the garlic scented is because if we don't catch any bluegill, then we could just use those and catch some catfish with that. All right, so as you can probably tell by the sky, the sun is currently on a downhill glide. So I only have 3 sunfish right now. We're gonna get them casted out and set up, and then I'm gonna go try and catch some more. So we're all set for some catfishing over here. Got the lights out because we're gonna be out all night. Got the rods already rigged up and ready to go. Up here, we got the little pan fishing equipment and some extra stuff I brought I don't really need. But this is the view for tonight. Got a little piece of cut bait there. Another piece of cut bait. About to go out over there. Bitch ass turtle trying to come up here. And that's how you know you haven't caught any fish in a goddamn while. Spider built a fucking whole entire web on my rod, bro. That's insane. God damn it. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. Bro, spider web on my car too? Like, can I get a fucking break? I guess the answer to that is no, with this grasshopper on my light and a million bugs down here. All right, so my little brother ended up coming out to catfish with me. We stayed for a couple more hours fishing, and I just completely forgot about the vlog. So I'm gonna answer the questions now. First one, what is my favorite fishing reel brand and why? I don't really have a favorite brand of reels, but I do have some favorite reels. This would be the Shimano Stratic. That's one of my favorite bass fishing reels. Um, the Penn Battle IV, I believe it's called. I use that for catfish and pike. Dial Fuego, I use for trout. Some other really good reels that I've had before were the Shimano Vanford, the Shimano Curado, the SLX DC, the Luz Speed Spool Classic Pro. The Daiwa CA80 was a good one for a little bit, but it didn't last very long because I accidentally took it apart and then lost a bunch of springs from the inside, so I couldn't use it anymore after like 2 months, but it was really good while it lasted. I had a Fluger President. That one was pretty good, and it was pretty cheap too, and a Shimano Nasi. So I guess I would say Shimano's probably what I use the most and what I have the most of. But I wouldn't really say it's my favorite brand. I don't think I have a favorite brand. I just have favorite reels. Next question, do I prefer bait caster or spinning, and why? I prefer spinning by far because it's just much more simpler, much easier to learn, and I fish way better with it. But I will say a bait caster definitely has its advantages. Like, you can get bait casters in like a 7-5-1 gear ratio. Like, bait casters, you can cast farther, you can reel them in faster, you can retrieve them faster. So they do have their advantages, but anytime that I take out a bait caster, I'll use it for like a week, and then I'll get tangled and mess up the whole entire spool and have to sit there and dig it out, and then usually I'll just throw it back in the basement for like a month and then bring it out again later. But once you get pretty proficient with a bait caster, though, they are a lot of fun to use, I'll say. Like, I just feel like a more professional fisher whenever I'm using a bait caster. But just all the kinks and problems that can go wrong if you don't correctly set your gear and you don't correctly set your brakes and everything like that, it can get bad and it can get real annoying. So anytime that I do take a bait caster out, I have a spinning rod with me ready to go for whenever I start messing up. So I really do enjoy fishing with bait casters. They are a lot of fun. They can provide a lot of advantages. But I prefer spinning rods just because of the simplicity. Like, it's really hard to mess up a spinning rod unless you get like a wind knot or something like that. Like, you can't backlash a spinning rod, so they're just way simpler and easier to use. Next, what's my favorite species of fish to catch and why? So I'll give you my top 3. And I don't really know if I can put an order to this. Well, actually, I absolutely can. So, number 1 is going to be smallmouth bass all day, every day. Just because I love bass fishing, period. I mostly fish for largemouth, but when I do catch smallies, they fight like crazy. They look super cool. They get pretty big. They're super fun to catch. And the methods that I usually use for smallies are always a little bit different than largemouth, like drop shotting and stuff like that. You have to use different methods and techniques, which can be a lot more fun and a lot more challenging, which is why I like catching them more than largemouth. So that's probably my number 1 fish to catch is smallmouth bass. My number 2 fish to catch is northern pike because, I don't know, they're just super cool, and I had wanted to catch one for like my first 4 years of fishing and could never, ever catch one. And then this last year, I probably caught like 30, 40 of them this summer alone. So they're a super aggressive fish. They're ambush predators. Like whenever you get a big one, a fat one, it just out of nowhere just takes your bait and takes off screaming with it. So they're super exciting and stuff to fish for. And then even just holding one, like just looking at it, like it looks like a dangerous fish. There's the cool looking fish, like their teeth, the shape of their body, they're so aerodynamic. Like they're not very friendly. They don't like being touched or held, but like just holding it, like it's like, damn, this is really a predator that I'm holding right here. It's like holding a baby shark almost. So yeah, pike is my second favorite, and my third favorite, this isn't going to be a popular one with you guys, but it's going to be carp. They fight like nothing else, dude. And you can fight a carp for like 10 minutes. I swear to God. The second that they get hooked, they are out, dude. They're spooling you. Like in 4 or 5 seconds, they'll spool you. Yeah, carp are a ton of fun to fish. Everybody hates on carp. A lot of people snag carp. A lot of people try and kill carp. I love carp. Carp fishing is so much fun. And you can catch a ton of them at once. Next question is, what is my biggest fish? This is my biggest fish, period, which is a carp. And this is the biggest fish that I'm the most proud of because it's a bass. It's my biggest bass right here. And then, where are carp located in ponds and rivers? I don't know where they are. The best way to find out is to just sit still and watch the water. A lot of times whenever carp are in an area and they're active, you will see them splashing. They're jumping out of the water like 2-3 feet in the air, making ginormous splashes. I'd say probably about 7 out of 10 times if you see a giant splash in the water, it's a carp jumping. That's how you know where they are. But if you want to look for somewhere to chum and try to fish for them and they're not jumping, here's a rule of thumb. If it's super cold out, they're super deep. If it's super hot out, it's super deep. So whenever there's extreme weather, either way, so it's like 90 degrees out or 30, 40 degrees out, they're super deep because that's where the water is least affected by the temperature. And then whenever they come out to feed, whenever the sun goes down and it starts to cool off, or whenever the sun's been out for a while and the water's warming up and they go to feed, then they're shallow. And by shallow, I mean anywhere from like 5. It really depends on the size of the body of the water, but when they're feeding, they're in probably 5-10 feet. Whenever they're deep, they're in 15 to 30 feet. Really just depends on how big your body of water is. It's all about time of day. It's all about water temperature. I'm trying my best to think of how I can describe it and tell you, because they could be anywhere. But say it's the middle of summer, it's super hot out. They're going to be shallow early in the morning before the sun comes up, and at night whenever the sun sets, that's when they're going to come out to feed in the shallows. Whenever it's winter time and it's super cold out, they're going to come out late in the morning after the sun's been up for a while, and early in the afternoon before the sun goes down, whenever the water is still warm. But again, if it's super hot or super cold, they are extremely deep. Just go to the deepest spot and they're probably, every single carp in that body of water is probably hurled up in a giant ball. They travel in packs and they're giant fish. They're hard to miss. When they're moving in these giant packs, at least a couple are always jumping, at least from my experience, and they're hard to miss. They're giant fish that travel in big schools. They make a lot of disturbances in the water. If you just sit back and look, you'll see a lot. But if you want a detailed way of finding out, I'm going to link a video in the description from Catfish and Carp, which is better known as the Outdoor Boys, Luke. He makes a really good video on how you can find carp, which really helped me. So go find them. But yeah, that's all the questions that we had today. So stay tuned for here in about 5 hours. I'm about to go do some early morning topwater bass fishing if you'll want to see that.